something strange is happening. Very strange. Governments and officials around the world, including the US, are talking seriously about aliens and unknown objects visiting our planet. But why now? What has changed? Recently, the House Intelligence Subcommittee held the first congressional hearing in over half a century on military reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. The world heard tales of recovered alien bodies, crashed extraterrestrial spaceships, and an apparently violent plot to conceal both. Anna Paulina Luna, who is co-leading the Oversight Committee investigation, said during the hearing in July 2023, "It is unacceptable to continue to gaslight Americans into thinking this is not happening." So, are we on the brink of a major disclosure, or is there something else at play here? David Grush, a former U.S. intelligence officer, appeared in Washington under oath to repeat his claims that the U.S. government is harboring intact and partially intact crafts and non-human pilots. He added that unnamed federal agencies had even recovered biologics from these craft, which he described as non-human. Moreover, Grush, who led analysis of unexplained anomalous phenomena, UAP, within a U.S. Department of Defense agency until 2023, said he had encountered people who have been harmed or injured in the course of the government's efforts to keep this alien program secret. Two pilots, David Fravor and Ryan Graves, gave testimony under oath at the Congress hearing. Graves, who has previously reported seeing unidentified aerial phenomena off the Atlantic coast every day for at least a couple years, said that other unnamed pilots had come across dark gray or black cubes inside of clear spheres, where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of the sphere. Tim Burchett, a Republican congressman from Tennessee, has said, "I believe they exist. I knew that before I came in here." So what is going on? Why is this now being taken so seriously by top officials in Congress? Why is there a sudden surge of interest in UFOs that is transfixing much of the U.S.?
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
The Navy has officially acknowledged 11 near misses with unidentified aerial phenomena that required evasive action and triggered mandatory safety reports between 2004 and 2021. America's fixation on the recent objects floating over the country overlooks a much more serious problem with advanced technology aircraft that we can't explain. Ryan Graves, the former Navy fighter pilot and engineer, chaired the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics UAP Integration and Outreach Committee and founder of the new nonprofit Americans for Safe Aerospace. Here's what he has said in a previous article. "We have a real UFO problem, and it's not balloons." In a clear sunny day in April 2014, two FA-18s took off for an air combat training mission off the coast of Virginia. The jets, part of my Navy fighter squadron, climbed to an altitude of 12,000 and steered towards Warning Area W-72, an exclusive block of airspace 10 miles east of Virginia Beach. All traffic into the training area goes through a single GPS point at a set altitude, almost like a doorway into a massive room where military jets can operate without running into other aircraft. Just at the moment the two jets crossed the threshold, one of the pilots saw a dark gray cube inside of a clear sphere, motionless against the wind, fixed directly at the entry point. The jets, only 100 feet apart, zipped past the object on either side. The pilots had come so dangerously close to something they couldn't identify that they terminated the training mission immediately and returned to base. "I almost hit one of those damn things," the flight leader, still shaken by the incident, told us shortly after in the pilot's ready room. We all knew exactly what he meant. Those damn things had been plaguing us for the previous 8 months. I joined the U.S. Navy in 2009 and underwent years of rigorous training as a pilot. Specifically, we are trained to be expert observers in identifying aircraft with our sensors and our own eyes. It's our job to know what's in our operating area. That's why in 2014, after upgrades were made to our radar system, our squadron made a startling discovery. There were unknown objects in our airspace. Initially, the objects were showing up on our newly upgraded radars, and we assumed they were ghosts in the machine or software glitches. But then we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple surveillance systems, including infrared sensors that detected heat signatures. Then came the hair-raising near misses that required us to take evasive action. These were no mere balloons. The unidentified aerial phenomena accelerated at speeds up to Mach 1, the speed of sound. They could hold their position, appearing motionless, despite Category 4 hurricane force winds of 120 knots. They did not have any visible means of lift, control surfaces, or propulsion. In other words, nothing that resembled normal aircraft with wings, flaps, or engines, and they outlasted our fighter jets, operating continuously throughout the day. I am a formally trained engineer, but the technology they demonstrated defied my understanding. After that near miss, we had no choice but to submit a safety report, hoping that something could be done before it was too late. But there was no official acknowledgement of what we experienced, and no further mechanism to report the sightings, even as other aircrew flying along the East Coast quietly began sharing similar experiences. Our only option was to cancel or move our training, as the UAP continued to maneuver in our vicinity unchecked. Nearly a decade later, we still don't know what they were. When I retired from the Navy in 2019, I was the first active-duty pilot to come forward publicly and testify to Congress. In the years since, there has been some notable coverage of the encounters, and Congress has taken some action to force the military and intelligence agencies to do much more to get to the bottom of these mysteries. But there has not been anything near the level of public and official attention that has been paid to the recent shoot-downs of a Chinese spy balloon and the 3 other unknown objects that were likely research balloons, and that's a problem. Advanced objects demonstrating cutting-edge technology that we cannot explain are routinely flying over our military bases or entering restricted airspace. UAP events continue to occur in restricted or sensitive airspace, highlighting possible concerns for safety of flight or adversary collection activity. The Director of National Intelligence reported last month, citing 247 new reports over the last 17 months. Some UAP appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. The Navy has also officially acknowledged 11 near misses with UAP that required evasive action and triggered mandatory safety reports between 2004 and 2021. Advanced UAP also pose a growing safety hazard to commercial airliners. Last May, the Federal Aviation Administration issued an alert after a passenger aircraft flying over West Virginia experienced a rare failure of 2 major systems while passing underneath what appeared to be a UAP. One thing we do know is these craft aren't part of some classified U.S. project. We were quite confident that was not the explanation. Scott Bray, the Deputy Director of the Office of Naval Intelligence, testified before Congress last year. Florida Senator Marco Rubio confirmed in a recent interview that whatever the origin of these objects, it is not the U.S. military. We have things flying over our military bases and places where we're conducting military exercises, and we don't know what it is, and it isn't ours, said Rubio, who is Vice Chair of the Intelligence Committee. President Joe Biden rightly points out the real national security and aviation safety risks, from foreign intelligence collection to hazard to civilian air traffic, that arise from low-tech balloon-like entities. I applaud his new order to create an interagency UAP task force and a government-wide effort to address unidentified objects, and his proposal to make sure all aerial craft are registered and identifiable according to a global standard is good common sense. However, what the president did not address during his press conference February 16th were the UAP that exhibit advanced performance capabilities. Where is the transparency and urgency from the administration and Congress to investigate highly advanced objects in restricted airspace that our military cannot explain? How will this new task force be more effective than existing efforts if we are not being clear and direct about the scope and nature of advanced UAP? The American public must demand accountability. We need to understand what is in our skies. Period. In the coming days, I will launch Americans for Safe Aerospace, ASA, a new advocacy organization for aerospace safety and national security. ASA will support pilots and other aerospace professionals who are reporting UAP. Our goal is to demand more disclosure from our public officials about this significant safety and national security problem. We will provide credible voices, public education, grassroots activism, and lobbying on Capitol Hill to get answers about UAP. President Biden needs to address this issue as transparently as possible. The White House should not conflate the low-tech objects that were recently shot down with unexplained high-tech, advanced objects witnessed by pilots. Our government needs to admit that it is possible another country has developed game-changing technology. We need to urgently address this threat by bringing together the best minds in our military, intelligence, science, and tech sectors. If advanced UAP are not foreign drones, then we absolutely need a robust scientific inquiry into this mystery. Obfuscation and denial are a recipe for more conspiracy theories and greater distrust that stymie our search for the truth. We need a coordinated, data-driven response that unites the public and private sectors. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, the U.S. Space Force, and a host of other military and civilian agencies need to be marshaled in support of a much more aggressive and vigilant effort, along with our scientific community and private industry. Right now, the pieces of the UAP puzzle are scattered across silos in the military, government, and the private sector. We need to integrate and analyze these massive data sets with new methods like AI. We also need to make this data available to the best scientists outside of government. We have strong supporters of more data sharing. Senator Rubio has suggested the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, which was set up by Congress last year, share its data on unidentified objects with academic institutions and civilian scientific organizations. The American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics and the Galileo Project at Harvard, tech startups like Enigma Labs, and traditional defense contractors could all play a role. Unfortunately, all UAP reports and videos are classified, meaning active-duty pilots cannot come forward publicly, and FOIA requests are denied. These are two major steps backwards for transparency, but they can be mitigated with data sharing. I am impressed by the recent whistleblower protections enacted last year to encourage more pilots and others to come forward. And I support the fresh push by Rubio and Sen. Kirsten Gillibrand, DNY, for full funding of AARO. Given the stakes, Congress also needs to fund grants for more scientific inquiry of UAP. Above all, we need to listen to pilots. Military and civilian pilots provide critical, first-hand insights into advanced UAP. Right now, the stigma attached to reporting UAP is still too strong. Since I came forward about UAP in 2019, only one other pilot from my squadron has gone public. Commercial pilots also face significant risks to their careers for doing so. New rules are needed to require civilian pilots to report UAP, protect the pilots from retribution, and a process must be established for investigating their reports. Derision or denial over the unknown is unacceptable. This is a time for curiosity. If the phenomena I witnessed with my own eyes turns out to be foreign drones, they pose an urgent threat to national security and airspace safety. If they are something else, it must be a scientific priority to find out. But what do you think about the whole situation? Is it really aliens and out-of-this-world technology or spacecraft? Something sticks in my mind that was said back in 2017 by then-President Donald Trump. He said this: "We have stuff that you haven't even seen or heard about. We have stuff that Putin and Xi have never heard about before," Trump said, referring to Presidents Vladimir Putin of Russia and Xi Jinping of China. There's nobody. What we have is incredible. Weapons experts were puzzling over Trump's words. Some think he may have been talking about a nuclear warhead that was modified to reduce its explosive power. Known as the W-76-2, this weapon certainly is unknown to the general public, not because of secrecy or mystery, but because of its obscurity. He was also asked by a reporter to clarify his comment. Trump said he'd rather not. "There are systems that nobody knows about, including you, and we have some systems that nobody knows about. And frankly, I think I'm better off keeping it that way," he said. So is it really UFOs or is it new tech? Is the open talk of aliens and released footage of UFOs a distraction technique? Comment below and don't forget to like and share this video for more great content in the future. Thanks for watching our channel, Something Different.